Maryville, along with Blount County Sports Hall of Famer Donnie Moore, longtime sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons, and Daily Times sports reporter Caleb Jarreau. The college football championship game is set, and we're going to the whistle blows. And now let's set today's lineup card. Donnie Moore will report on the latest high school basketball scores involving Blount County high school teams, and will follow up with some national sports stories. Marcus Fitzsimmons and Caleb Jarreau will be on board to update us on what's happening in local high school sports. Marcus will present his feature Mark It Down and the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segments. I'll talk some UT basketball and football, and our panel will voice their views on the college football playoffs. The Let Her Rip segment is set to go, so let's break the huddle and dive right in. Good morning, everybody, on this rainy Saturday morning. The good part about it is it's not cold outside.
That's right, it's not.
Always got to look on the positive side of things.
Not yet, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, Happy New Year to all of you.
Thank you, Mike.
Everybody
Happy New Year to you and yours.
Had a nice holiday season, and welcome back this morning. We've been off for a few weeks, and we'll try to knock the rust off and see where we're at.
Good weather for ducks today. And
yeah.
Not the Oregon Ducks, so. Not the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, this is definitely not their morning.
No. Just local. This Ducks at the.
They're waking up in Atlanta and trying to wonder what happened last night.
Oh, yeah. Goodness.
Well, I got a little letter rip this morning, so we'll start off with that. And
all right.
Maybe get you guys' opinions on what went on with this situation, but it's kind of odd. Transfer portal is open, and with that being said, controversy is sure to follow. This past week, Washington quarterback Demond Williams Jr. said on social media that he was entering the transfer portal, a move that comes just days after he agreed to return to the Huskies next season. So, okay, the portal's open. What's the problem? Well, the problem was Williams signed a contract which was supposed to solidify his return to the Washington program for another year. Supposedly, the deal was in the mid-$4 million range and near the top of the market. LSU was in the running to land Williams, among other schools. Washington was prepared to pursue all legal avenues to enforce Williams' contract. The sophomore completed 69.5% of his passes for 3,065 yards with 25 touchdowns and 8 interceptions last year. He also rushed for 611 yards and 6 touchdowns. But on Thursday, Williams backtracked and decided to stay at Washington. Well, Caleb, I'll start with you. Obviously, he got some feelers from outside that were prepared to give him more money than what Washington was offering. So I'm thinking if he goes ahead and pursues that, is there any legality here? Are contracts worth anything anymore?
It's interesting because I don't know, at the college level, we haven't seen people really enforce contracts like this. And I don't think you can enforce a contract where it ties you to the school necessarily, but I think you can enforce a contract that would tell him, hey, you can't make NIL money from anywhere else except Washington. But again, I don't know if that would hold up in the court, because we have seen contracts that say if you leave, we're not going to pay you, or you owe us money.
Right.
But we haven't seen contracts that say you're stuck here.
I don't know if his had the payback clause. I think that's becoming standard, where he would have had to pay Washington if he had left. But the thing is, because this is not organized like a professional sports league where you have rules set in place, it falls under general contract law. So in the state of Washington, if there was somebody who was discussing with him and meddling with that contract, that's illegal. Like they could have charged Lane Kiffin with criminal offense if that was what if he had gone there and they had said Lane was talking to him while contract negotiations were going on. That's a criminal act.
Well, obviously, Marcus, somebody was talking to him, or he wouldn't just be telling everybody he's not coming back.
I would hope even with Louisiana's state, let's remember, they still use French colonial law in a lot of their state government. That somebody there outside knew enough to say, hey, guys, this is across the line where not even the governor can help you if this comes out.
But to Marcus's point, too, this is why you need, like, a player, a CBA or something, a bargaining agreement of some sort across college sports to prevent stuff like this from happening and have a blanket set of rules. But Congress isn't barely works at the government level, and sure enough, isn't going to come in
Yeah,
and
you're
fix
not, because
college
right now it
sports.
depends. It varies state to state depending on how their state law is structured. So, what's illegal in Washington is not necessarily illegal in most of the southern states.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
When it comes to that sort of thing, but and it's not just the contract negotiations; it's the same things that go on because various states dictate how state employees are paid, and in some states, the players are now state employees.
Yeah. Well, Donnie, you would
Yeah.
think that $4 million or $4.5 million would be enough enticement to keep the kid at Washington.
You
but
would, yeah.
Then he's thinking, well, if I can get more than $4 million and $4.5 million and have a better chance of winning a national championship at LSU, if that's the school involved with Lane Kiffin, then you could understand why you would want to make the switch, because his chances of winning a national championship at Washington versus LSU are two different stories right there.
And plus, we've seen how this can work with Nico Iamaleava too. You know, he bolted, and he's making less money, and his
Paying more
chances,
taxes on that money.
yeah, and that's true because of the cost of living.
Yeah.
But
And-
he's
but you
also
see,
not
we've
playing for a
seen-
championship team either.
I mean, when you're dealing with, we'll call them 20-somethings, but even into their 30s. But we've seen what contract negotiations and salary can do with professional athletes who have an
Yeah.
entourage around them. When you're taking that back to guys that are technically teenagers in some cases, I mean, the room for things to go wrong is just so much larger.
True.
And the quality of the people around them, not saying that when it comes to judging the size of a shark, it's still a shark, but there's people around them that you've just got so much room. They've got to step in and get a handle on this, or this is not as bad as it gets. This is just the start of how bad it can
Yeah.
get.
Caleb, the story's not over really out there at Washington, because now he's got to go back to his team and to his coach, and he's got to rekindle relationships pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And you might as well throw that fan base in out there too. If there is, I don't want to use the word violent. Well, I guess I don't want to use the word violent. If there is as outspoken as they are around here,
Oh, yeah.
fan base, you know that's going to be a pretty big job out there. And then you got a coach, and you got an administrator, you got a fan. Well, if he wants to go somewhere else, we don't really want him. I mean, you know, you got that type of attitude.
And he has to hire a new agent. His agent quit on him
Yeah.
because they had. He said his agent said they had philosophical differences. They just didn't believe in their.
Yeah.
But also, his agent is the Washington head coach's agent as well. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely awkward. He'll have to have a new agent, and apparently, like some Washington people said, he entered the transfer portal and started all that mess during one of his classmates' funerals. So the whole school was at a gathering for a past student, and he was doing that. So
Wrong time.
yeah,
Wrong time.
definitely
Not
wrong.
good.
And you've got to
Not good.
walk back into the gym
yeah.
Monday morning, let's say,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and work out with these guys and deal with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, I can't imagine even in this culture
wouldn't want
that's just a cool thing to walk back in, and you're not going to catch some grief about that at
Yeah.
the very least.
at that point, you almost wonder if Washington should just cut him loose.
Yeah. Well, the patience stick's not going to be very long. Let's put it that way. Going into that first game, would you not think?
No, and I don't.
You know, in Washington right
So
now,
you're
it's
right.
not a power in the Big Ten. I mean, they're not a bad program, but they're not in the caliber with some of the other schools right now playing football. So we'll see what happens.
And you
out
get
there.
into,
Interesting
like, we
story.
got into that, it's like, in there's a situation going on where we have a transfer, and now he owes, I think it's Cincinnati, $1 million back from this season of money he's received. So
Yeah.
and you've got this situation where you're an 18-year-old, and did you spend all that money, or did you buy your parents a house, or did you hold on to it in case you transferred and had to make a payment to pay back that school?
Yeah.
Or are you just trusting that your new school is going to pay that for you? I
Yeah.
mean, you can get yourself. You could have. Well, we talk about the benefit to the athletes, but you could have a 21-year-old kid who's coming out with no degree, hasn't gotten any education per se,
Yeah.
and owes 7 figures to a state for not performing his job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about that.
I mean, it really just goes back to whoever's advising these kids. You see the agents and all that, because I'm sure the agents' pockets aren't hurting.
Well, they're not going to lose their
yeah,
cut.
he's not losing his cut or giving back his money, but it's the kid that ends up on the short end of the stick. And one of the scariest things with the portal, too, is, every year there's probably, I would say, hundreds of kids who enter the portal and never come out of it and just never play football again. And so you've got the far end of the money problems, and you got the other end of kids are entering the portal thinking they can get another opportunity, or people telling them they're good and never play football again.
And you touched on the other one. It's a huge difference that I think people need to remember is when you're talking about pro sports, you have an owner for that team.
Mm-hmm.
You have an owner, you have a general manager. They are responsible for the team. That's who you negotiate contracts with. That's how that stuff gets done. In college right now, there's no discernible line that says the head coach isn't directing some of these collectives to do what they're doing, and your coach and your player might have the same agent.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're operating a pro system with no guidelines.
So
pretty much.
you can't negotiate when. That's like
true.
having the same lawyer for the prosecutor and the defense.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, because Washington's quarterback and head coach had the same agent. LSU, Brian Kelly, when he was at LSU, and Garrett Nussmeier shared the same agent. If you watch that series the SEC did, there's an awkward conversation where, Kelly's negotiating Nussmeier's contract with the agent when that's also his agent. And it, like you said, it's crazy.
Like I said, this situation, there's so much that was not thought through or contemplated or acted upon. And we always crack on the NCAA, but are they doing anything? Are they just literally sitting in their office and just sitting back and saying, "Y'all deal with this mess you made," whoever y'all is?
They are denying eligibility waivers still, so they got that going for them.
Well, I'm glad they've got that two-guy department that can still do something in that giant building, because that seems to be the only thing that has the lights on the football floor.
Let's leave this chaos and go to some Tennessee basketball.
All right.
Oh, yeah, that's a smooth transition into another comfortable topic.
Hey, last Saturday, Tennessee traveled to Arkansas to take on the Razorbacks, and the Vols came out on the short end of the stick, losing 86 to 75. And Caleb, tough place to play down there in Walton Arena. And the Vols last Saturday, they hung right in there till the last 5 minutes, and then it got away from them.
Yeah, and I think you'll hate to see the free throw numbers in that one.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. But your take on that game after
they
played down
I think
there.
Arkansas is probably one of the better teams in the SEC and definitely the most physical. I think it was Louisville had played both Arkansas and Tennessee, and the coach mentioned how the only physicality they faced compared to Tennessee was Arkansas. So I think that definitely hurt. You start the SEC play on the road is never easy. Obviously, Calipari is a good coach, and Arkansas has some good players. But if you make free throws, they were 12 of 23 from the free throw line, and you turn the ball over 14 times. It's not a winning strategy, especially on the road. So I would say that's probably what stood out to me was just the percentages. Because honestly, you didn't do terrible from the field. You shot just below 50%.
Right,
but
29 for 59 from the field.
Exactly, but the free throw line kills you, and turnovers
some of those
kill
were
you.
one-on-ones and two-shot foul.
Exactly, yeah.
That's not the worst of it right there when you look at what it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
So that was big. And Darius Acuff Jr. for Arkansas, he just went off 29 points. And what was impressive about him is every time it seemed like UT was making a run or was trying to stay a little bit on the upper end, Darius Acuff hurt him.
Yeah, it was a one-man. I would call it a one-man show.
Yeah, pretty much.
He had 29, and then Malik Thomas had 18, and that was about it.
Yeah. Nate Ament, I want to talk a little bit about him. In the last couple of games, we'll talk about Texas here in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But looks to me like he's, he had all the hype coming in here. He is averaging double figures for the year as a freshman. He was, one of the top 5 recruits nationally, I believe. A lot of hype coming in, but seems to be struggling a little bit right now. You see it as a mental thing with him. Looks like he's lacking a little confidence, or is it an adjustment to college play? What's going on with him right now?
I would say it's probably an adjustment to college play, Mike, because like you mentioned, he's the highest-rated recruit in Tennessee history. I don't know where you were in those recruiting rankings, but you could probably attest to a little bit. If you come in with high expectations, there's a lot of pressure, especially in today's day and age where you've got not only media but national personalities. He's on NBA mock drafts before he ever plays a college basketball game, projected as a lottery pick. So there's a lot of pressure, and I think through the first few months of the season, you saw the confidence issue where he was pressing a little bit, trying to do a lot, live up to those expectations. Now, honestly, I think it's just a college basketball thing because, when you're 6 foot, when you're his size, 6'9", 6'10", and lanky, you're probably in the post in high school. And he could dribble like a guard, he could shoot, but you're still you're the tallest guy on the court usually. And he's probably the only D1 player on the high school court at all, so he's doing it all. Now he's learning how to play within a system, how to play for Rick Barnes, and play on the perimeter, which I think is where you see some of these issues where his shooting is kind of lacked. But where he's done good, Mike, has been his free throw shooting. He's been able to get to the line and drive to the basket and get fouled. And then you saw him shoot 5 of 11 at the free throw line against Arkansas, which really hurt. And there's a clip that went viral of Acuff and Thomas in the press conference, and they're looking at the box score, and you can hear him get hot mic'd, and they're like, wow, he shot 5 of 11? Like, that well, you don't expect that from him. And I think that's been a letdown. And I mean, it is an adjustment, but I think for how highly rated he was and all the expectations, and in today's day and age, the money you're paying him, I think you'd expect more. And if Tennessee wants to go deep in March, they will need more from him as well.
Exactly, and that's the point I want to make. If they're looking at Final Four, Lead 8, that type of thing, they got to have him playing.
Yeah,
he's got to play
and hitting shots too.
And of course Gillespie's playing really well right now. But I mean he's got to pick it up just a little bit.
And with how good this front court is too, you've got 4 big men who are having averaging almost doubles, 10 points a game, grabbing 7-8 rebounds a game each. You can't just have Jacoby Gillespie scoring on the outside. And your 2-guard spot has really been defensive guys up to this point.
Right.
And some guys who can knock down threes. But you need somebody to where if Gillespie gets tired, or as we all know in March when those refs get on national television, what if Gillespie gets 2 fouls in the first 10 minutes? You need somebody else that can score.
There you go. They committed 14 turnovers at Arkansas. 10 or 12 for a Barnes team, that's kind of where you want them to be. But you get over that 12 figure, you're going to get real iffy, aren't you?
Yeah,
really?
And I think what really hurt is just the dumb turnovers, like Ethan Berg.
Oh, yeah.
Ethan Berg came in and double dribbled.
Yeah.
Like this is college ball. You shouldn't be double dribbling anymore.
And you know what? I'm surprised they even called that. I mean, and really, you see that some where they miss it, because it's bang, bang. And I'm going, I believe he just double dribbled, where they miss it. But that one was so obvious because he hesitated.
He didn't sell it.
No, he didn't sell it at all.
And I think those are the turnovers that kill you because, everybody knows Rick Barnes. If you're playing aggressive and trying to make something happen, turnovers are going to happen, especially if you're a ball handler or the main guy. But it's the dumb turnovers, like throwing it out of bounds or double dribbling, or I think they had a backcourt violation in there from a bad pass. Just stuff like that is what's going to kill you.
Yeah. Rick Barnes' team and teams in the past and his coaching on the bench, he's a little reluctant to take timeouts. I don't know if anybody else has noticed it or not, but at times when he does take that timeout, it seems to be a little late.
Yeah, he doesn't take many.
Yeah, and down at Arkansas, he finally took the timeout, but the bleeding was out, and it was really running all over the place when you took it. And I just felt like maybe he waited a little long.
And
to take that timeout.
He's always been a guy that argues he'd rather his players work through it. But I don't know if we can think of another time he's had 3 freshmen starting, like he does now. Yeah. Like let's say last year's team. If you say I'm not going to take a timeout because I trust the Kai Ziegler and Jemai Mashak to work through it, well, then I'd agree with you. I mean, those are fifth-year guys, very good college basketball players. Yeah. This year you've got 3 freshmen on the court, and you're rotating in another freshman off the bench. Those guys don't know how to work. That was their first SEC game. So I do think, maybe a quicker timeout or maybe even 2 just to help those guys out and let them know, like, hey, let's calm down. This is every night in the SEC. You're going to get run on, and you have to respond. Yep. And I think it did go too long. And I want to say, there were 2 turnovers in that mix too. Which just when you're in a place like Bud Walton and they're Tyson's throwing all this money at basketball. They've got John Calipari. You're in Fayetteville, Arkansas, where the only thing to do is watch Arkansas basketball. Yeah. You turn the ball over, that place is rocking. And then you do it again, and it sounded like on TV the roof was going to explode.
I know it was the first SEC game. You want to get off to the good start, but that's a tough place to play down there. It's the first game of the season. You played pretty well up until the last 5 minutes of the game. Had a chance to win it. I just write it off and say, that's a road win. It'd been nice to have gotten it, but we didn't get it. Yeah. So you got to move on, and they did move on last Tuesday night, getting back at home, and if you're going to do well in this SEC league, you got to win home games. And they came back and beat a Texas team 85-71. And that Texas team, they're playing with a little bit of doubt right now. They lost their home opener at home, I believe last Saturday.
I think so, yeah.
They're reeling a little bit, and Tennessee came in and played real well, I thought.
I thought one of the things that made a difference, and part of it goes back to what you're saying about Arkansas's physicality, was Tennessee rebounded much better with Texas than they did with Arkansas, because a lot of Tennessee's offense runs through that rebounding effort, and Arkansas is not just going to give up and let you dominate the boards. That was one of the things that was I think came through several times, was Tennessee was not going unchallenged. When they were getting fouled, the big guys couldn't hit free throws.
Yeah. Well, they turned that free throw shooting around they were 21 for 29, Caleb, which is improvement there at home, 72%. But Jacoby Gillespie was the big story. Big night offensively, 34 points.
On 12 of 18, too.
Playing well.
With
Playing
5
well.
assists and 3 steals and 4 rebounds. I think that's what you want from the Greenville native. And Rick Barnes has really been tough on him about not only scoring but also getting his assist numbers up and really playing the point guard spot. And I think to Marcus's point, not only did your front court rebound better, they also got in the scoring category. I mean, J.P. Estrella had 11 points. Jalen Carey had 10 points. Dwayne Brown had 10 points. So you got 3 of your bigs right there in double digits. And with the way Tennessee runs ball screens, Texas either had to guard Jacoby Gillespie, who felt like he could hit anything from half court to the three-point line, or they had to guard the big man. And you can't guard both at the same time, really. So Tennessee just picked them apart doing that all game. And I mean, ethical basketball is what people call it. It was just a simple game plan. You either got to guard the shooter or you get in the paint. And to Texas's credit, too, I mean, it's a first-year head coach. They're still rebuilding that program, like you mentioned. So they don't really have the personnel to compete. So it was an expected result from Tennessee, but coming off that road loss, it was definitely a good result.
Yeah, you got a little bit of doubt going in there.
Exactly,
You know,
yeah.
you had some.
And see, I wonder how long it's going to be before somebody tests Tennessee on that. And if Tennessee's having that kind of night, they go into hack-a-shack mode.
Yeah.
And see if put your bigs on the line and see if they can perform, because to me there's doubt there with at least 2 of them that they're going to hit better than 50%.
Well, Jalen Carey's shooting like 46% from the free throw line.
I'm wondering if you have that kind of night, how long we're going to see before we see SEC opponents responding, putting in the number 10 guy just to foul.
Get them on the line.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
when they play a team with players, too, because I don't even think Texas could probably do that if they wanted to. But when you face, to your point, like when you face Auburn or guys who just have 5 stars sitting on the bench, I think you will see that.
Yeah.
And if you start missing free throws at home, too, I mean, that's like the cardinal sin.
The stats really back up the win against Texas. They got 15 second chance points, 44 points in the paint, 24 points off fast breaks. You know, that's always nice to have. Points off turnovers, 27, and bench points, 25. You're looking at some stats with a lot of help right there. 25 off of the bench and fast break points.
And then you're shooting 40% from 3 and 53% from the field. That makes it a pretty easy night.
Yeah, and they turned the ball over 13 times. So it was a good night. It was a good night there at the arena there in Knoxville. Today, they go down to Florida. They got a 12 o'clock start time on ESPN, and Florida's 10-5, 1-1 in the league. Tennessee's 11-4 and 1-1. Caleb, you've got a battle between the number 1 and the number 2 offensive rebounding teams in the country.
Yep.
It's going to be brutal down there inside.
Yeah. Hey, y'all can respect the old coaching analogy of the game doesn't start till the ball goes up. And I think that'll be the story at noon, because you've got Florida has 4 really good big men who are fresh off a national championship.
Yeah.
And Tennessee has 4 really good big men who want to win a national championship.
Yeah.
And that'll be a rowdy place.
Donnie, if you like NASCAR racing, just watch the inside today and watch all the bumping and
That's
hitting
right.
and grinding, elbowing that's going to be going on in there.
You
down
better
at the
believe
McConnell
it.
Center. And this is a tough place to play, too.
It is.
Very.
You know, McConnell Center's another tough place. So this is a key game for Tennessee on the road. If they can come out down at Florida, not too many teams are going to come out down there. if they can come out today, that'll give them a foot up in the Southeastern Conference. But it's going to be a physical game, and turnovers are going to play a part in it. Do you look for Tennessee to get back to the Rick Barnes style of basketball, where you're kind of milking the clock and working that other team on the with your offense, running the shot clock down, and then playing them tough on the defensive end? You look for a low-scoring game down there today with all the inside play.
I think it'll be more so because of the inside play. It'll be low scoring because you look at Florida, and they had to go to the portal to replace their 3 guards they lost to the draft, and they got Boogie Flan from Arkansas, who everybody thought would be a great guard for Florida, and he's shooting like 19% from beyond the arc.
Wow.
So their guards are struggling to shoot. Their wing is really a forward, so he's not going to be sparking it too much from 3. So honestly, pace aside, I think it'll just be a low scoring game because the inside play. And we've seen Tennessee have these hot scoring days like they had against Texas where they shoot 40% from 3. And we've seen them in the next game follow it up with 15% from 3 and unable to shoot. So I would bet it'll be low scoring because of the post. And I wouldn't doubt, you're in the 50s, 60s by the end of the game. And it's just what big men have survived the foul count.
Yeah.
Because I could see this game getting heavy in the fouls too.
On that inside, when I talked about number 1 and number 2, that's offensive rebounding. If you're looking at defensive rebounding, you're looking at the Gators are 5th in the nation in defensive rebound. The Vols are 106th on the defensive end. It's almost unbelievable to me. You can be so good on the offensive end and be so poor on the defensive end.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
That's hard to figure out, isn't it?
And I'm not really even sure what would cause that as much.
Yeah. One thing about it, I think you hit it on I think they're going to be offset inside, with all the sides in there and everything. I think this game's going to be decided on the outside, and Florida's really struggling with their offensive efficiency on the outside. So
they are.
we'll see what happens down there, and hopefully Tennessee can come out with a road win. Hey, we'll take a timeout here. When we return, Donnie Moore will provide high school basketball scores and news with other sports around the area, and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons, along with Caleb Jarreau, will get with the feature Mark It Down. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925. Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
Welcome back to the GoTeez Sports Page. Donnie Moore had a rivalry game last night in basketball, and
Yeah, headliner game. This early in the season.
I'll turn it over to you, and you can give us the first scores of the new year.
You got it. Thank you, Mike. This is our Mandy B. Street Realty Local Focus segment, and sponsored, of course, by Mandy B. Street Realty. Thanks to them for their sponsorship and their being friends of the sports page. Prep basketball last night. I had several games on tap, and I'll take you through them at this time. The first one was the marquee game that Mike was talking about. It was Alcoa hosting Heritage last night. This was a little bit of a surprise to me, but maybe not, according to from what I see. Alcoa girls bested Heritage girls 67-55 last night. And then the boys returned the favor in the nightcap, 80-49. Alcoa had some players that did well, put the ball in the hoop last night, didn't they? Hang on, let me get you. All right, go.
Yeah, I mean, Jay Kirk and Jabril Coco just went off. And I
Yeah.
think when you get scoring from those two guys, let me pull up the totals. When you get 32 from Jay Kirk and 27
Right.
from Jabril Coco, then that makes it a little easy to win. And on the girls' side, Donnie, something I learned from our Josh Lane's reporting at the Daily Times was Aaliyah Smith has a torn ACL.
Ooh.
So she's out for the season, and Heritage is still trying to replace. She was their main defender, so
Right.
Heritage is still trying to learn how to play without her. So I'm sure that contributed to that lopsided score as well.
That may throw a monkey wrench into the works right there.
Yeah.
So you know,
That's a hard one to replace because
She
it's
sure
it's
is.
not as easy finding somebody that can put. You can find somebody else that can put it up, maybe not as effectively, but finding that key lockdown defender is
yeah,
hard.
it sure is.
And Rick Howard called her their glue girl from the state championship last year.
Yeah,
So you're losing a guard that has a ton of experience too.
and then you've got on the boys' side. I thought that was going to be a much closer game, but when Alcoa's got when Jameer Dean doesn't get double digits, but you still got 60 points coming from two other guys,
Yeah.
then that's hard to stop, and that's a good sign for Alcoa.
It sure is. Sure is. Well, we'll see how things progress from here. Eagleton hosted Cumberland County last night, and I only have a boys score for that one. It's 47-37 in favor of Cumberland County. We don't know how Eagleton girls did, but we wish them well in the rest of their endeavor this season. Greenback hosted Midway last night, and the Cherokees did not fare too well in those games last night. The girls lost 52-30, and the boys lost 72-38. So took a couple on the chin last night down in Cherokee country. Maryville hosted Sevier County last night, and Sevier County girls apparently are pretty tough.
They have that program's always been traditionally strong.
It
and
sure has.
we haven't seen as much of them because, we went through most of the mid part of the 2000s that we've been through, with Sevier County being on the other side of that regional divide,
Right.
where they used, we went through most of the 90s with them being in a district with Maryville and William Blount and Heritage. So we haven't seen the Barretts, as Lady Barretts, whatever they're calling them now, as much. But there was a time where we saw them and they were really, really good. And now that they're kind of back in and we're seeing them again, you're remembering how good they were.
And they're going for a third straight state tournament appearance this year.
Yeah.
They've been to the last two, so they'll shoot the lights out the gym, and it's a well-coached team. And really, any Sevier County sport, truthfully, Marcus, is always competitive.
They've gotten to that point where they're getting competitive in almost everything now.
Yep.
Because they kind of ride that roller coaster like everybody else, but they're definitely back on the upswing with the girls basketball, getting that program to the level they used to play in when they were going to the state tournament. We're playing for the region championship almost every year.
And they do call the Sevier County girls team the Barretts because they probably don't want to use the term what a real female bear is called, which is a sow.
That's true. And not that prevents student sections from putting that sign up there anyway.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
No lady Smoky Bears. You don't want a three-word mascot.
Yeah, that's true. That's a little bit long, maybe.
They can fit Barretts on the jersey. I don't think you can fit lady
just
Smoky
barely.
Bears.
Yeah, that's a lot of letters too. Anyway, but 73-37, Sevier County girls over Maryville, and the Rebels return the favor in the boys contest, 59-47. So congratulations to Maryville boys.
And we got to say, again, and this Grand Ronca, it's a district game at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a 4-team district too. So you're just playing
4-team
for
district.
seeding.
So you're playing for seeding, and it's going to make a world of difference, we think. Depending on the format. I mean, for that tournament, but you got a 4-team district. You can't all 7 games or all 6 games matter.
Yeah, they do.
And in that district too, it seems like Sevier County and Maryville are starting to separate themselves. And Sevier County is good at boys basketball too because
They are.
they have all those football state champions they just put on the basketball court and play basketball with. So it was a ton of guys with bleach blonde hair from the state championship game that can shoot. And Parker Newman's younger brother is probably 6'4", 6'5", and I think the second point of the game, Luke Sigmund dunked on him just to kind of set the tone of what the night will be. So if you haven't seen Maryville, it's a fun brand of basketball because they're throwing lobs back and forth, and then they're defending on the other side and then going down and shooting a three, and they play really sound basketball, and it's fun to watch.
But the thing Sevier County, to a degree you'll see this with Alcoa, but some of these teams that are very dependent on football players making the transition out, especially ones that are coming off state championship where they went all the way into December with football practice. Sometimes those teams make the biggest jumps as you go into that stretch run.
Yeah, especially when you get into your region or
end of January, beginning of February, some of those teams are really starting to click at that point because it takes a little bit. It's not just being at practice. You got to get your shot back, your feet back, a different type of stamina back.
Exactly right.
So I think Caleb's right. We might see a really good Maryville Sevier County game in the second meeting.
Yeah, wouldn't be at all
surprised. It's going to be a little bit closer than this 59-47 game was.
Well, South Doyle played at Seymour last night, and in the girls' contest, South Doyle came out the winner in that one, 53-45, 8 points better than the Lady Eagles. And in the boys' contest, then it was a 20-point runaway for Seymour, 71-51.
Yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit, but the boys' team at Seymour has definitely been on that upswing the last year or two. And this is a rivalry game.
It is
for that Tri-County area where you've got Seymour, Heritage, and South Doyle all within close proximity to each other, and actually recruiting lines that go over depending on which neighborhood you go through to where the line goes as to where you're supposed to go to school. So those things are big. Those guys all know each other.
Yeah.
So it's big for Seymour to get that win. And then at the same time, the girls' side, we've seen some really good Seymour programs over the last 6 to 10 years.
Yes, we have.
And it feels like they're trying to rebuild a little bit at this point.
Yeah, I agree. So that was a split. We had a split again in the final game that I'm covering today. William Blount hosted Jefferson County, the Patriots of Jefferson County, last night, and in the girls' contest, pretty much of a runaway by William Blount too, 44-26 over the Lady Patriots.
And it's big for them.
It is. It's huge. That's a huge
Coach
game.
Roddy's got. Like I said, it's a 4-team district, so.
Playing for seeding.
You're playing for seeding, but you've got to. If you're looking at it and saying, we've got Sevier County, we've got these 3 teams. You've got to get the wins you think you feel like you should get.
Sure.
And if you're going to pick, Jefferson County is the one you're going to have to say we're going to have to get both those wins.
And the bigger picture with seeding is, in the end, nobody wants to travel to Science Hill or Dobbins Bennett in a region tournament game because you go from these high school gyms down here to you're basically playing in a college gym against a team that'll probably be a lot bigger than anything William Blount or Jefferson County honestly can put on the court. So.
And every time I've ever been to Science Hill to play, they play in that Quonset hut, and man, they crank the heat up in that place. Good grief.
Well, in that gym, too, it's hard to shoot because one end is just people.
Yeah,
so you're looking at people behind the backboard, and the other end's a wall. But, yeah, if you can –
very different.
To Marcus' point, if you can win the games you know you should win and then get an upset or two, all of a sudden you're hosting a regional game, and that makes life a lot easier with the new TSSAA seeding.
That's right. So let's move on to the boys' contest, and thus the split. Jefferson County won this one 57-50 over William Blount. Ooh, fairly close game. So maybe the Govs are starting to come around.
Yeah, I think they're still putting some pieces around and trying to figure some things out. And I think William Blount still got the potential to make some noise. But and really you're talking about a 6-week stretch here.
Yep.
If what you can do over the next 6 weeks determines what you've done for the last 6 months.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Let me read you a good quote from Kevin Wendell.
Go ahead.
From last night. He said, The good book says, above all else, guard the heart, and we call the heart the inside of the paint. We didn't guard the inside of the paint very good at all. So
using biblical references right there.
that's how things are going in William
job,
Blunt after
Kevin.
that one.
Well, that's all the scores that I have from last night in prep basketball. Now let me tell you that you're listening to WKCE 92.5 FM and 1180 AM Mid-Century Radio. And now, here is my friend and fellow Sports Page alum and veteran.
I'm an alum.
Well, not yet.
Graduated.
Anyway.
Congrats.
Did I get my letter jacket, John?
All right, we'll get you one.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get you one.
Put that on GoTeez's radar.
Here's Marcus Fitzsimmons with his feature, Mark It Down.
Well, thank you, Donnie,
You're welcome.
and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We haven't said that enough on this show yet.
Uh-uh.
But we're not really going to mark much down today simply because a lot of the high school students are just going their first week back and not really willing to get up on a Saturday morning because it's been hard getting up on the other 5 days of the week this week.
Especially once they looked outside this morning.
And not all of our college students are back on campus yet. So some of the coaches are out recruiting. So we're kind of got a little bit of a hole this morning. But Mike came prepared.
I always does.
Mike came prepared, so we're going to mic it down this
that
week.
sounds good to me.
All right.
Mike,
All right.
All
I'll
right,
take
Mike.
it.
It's all yours.
I want to talk a little bit about the Southeastern Conference basketball standings. And I know it's real early. It's real early.
It's
but,
never too early.
I know. But I'm looking at the top 5 teams right now. Texas A&M, 2-0, and I believe they're 12-3 overall. And then you got Vanderbilt at 2-0, and they're 16-0, and you got Arkansas 2-0 and 13-3, Missouri 2-0, 13-3, and Alabama 1-1, 11-5. Those are the top 5 teams in the Southeastern Conference right now. Tennessee's not there. You know, it's early. They had the loss at Arkansas. Hopefully they'll jive their way into this top 5 before too much longer. But Texas A&M. Caleb, let me just switch it to you. Your impressions of the early standings here in the SEC. Who's impressed you?
Yeah. I don't know if anybody can beat Vanderbilt. When's the last time we said that for men's basketball?
Yeah, and they got that big win against
Nobody has yet.
Got that big win against Alabama at home.
Yeah, at home.
Yeah.
And Vanderbilt looks really good. I mean, like you said, they're undefeated, but also just the style they play really is going to take a team like Tennessee or Florida out of it because they're going 5 out. Everybody can shoot.
Right.
And they're going to shoot a lot, and they're going to shoot at a high clip. And that makes it scary for Tennessee if they want to compete against Vanderbilt because your front court, I mean, you've got big men who aren't really stepping out and guarding that. Florida's going to struggle to guard that. I think it might take Arkansas a little bit out of the game. I mean, Vanderbilt's shooting 38% from 3 as a team and over 50% from the field. And it's a selfless team that has a really good coach in Mark Byington. So that's my biggest impression so far is Vanderbilt's really a force to be reckoned with so far. And I don't know if it's safe to say the SEC is down this year, but I don't think there's every year you've kind of got the top dog. Like there's really good Kentucky teams or the really good Auburn team like last year or Florida last year. I don't know if you really have that this year with the SEC where there's one team that's going to come out of it and you think that team can win the national championship. I think it's a lot of good teams and probably the deepest league top to bottom because Missouri's looked good as well, but I don't know if it's a conference that has a top dog yet.
I don't think it has one at all.
No, I think there's a lot of parity in the league.
I think you can, if we watch these standings and track them, the top 4 this week might be the middle of the pack next week, and we'll be looking at a new top 4. We might see 4 3-1 teams at the top of the conference next week, and these 4 be 2-2.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: we don't have any of that real outstanding team here. Well, there's no teams in the SEC in the top 10. Vanderbilt's at 11, Alabama 13, Arkansas 15, Georgia 18, Tennessee 21. Are we seeing some comparisons in basketball, Caleb, with what happened in football? You know, we talked about the SEC being really strong top to bottom as far as the country goes. A lot of parity within the league, but not a lot of cream up there on the top, so to speak. Are we? Is basketball kind of mirroring that? You think or not?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you have all these. Really, the SEC is starting to become a basketball conference. I think because you know everybody thinks the ACC is a really good basketball conference, but I want to say the SEC is kind of getting there, and that's where you get this parity. But I would say, yeah, to a point where you're seeing. I would say football was kind of the same story this year. Obviously, I thought Alabama was good, Oklahoma was good, A&M looked good during the regular season, but then they got in the playoffs and got shellacked or got in bowl games, and I mean even Vanderbilt lost its bowl game against Iowa, which you rarely see. So I think you are seeing just the parity top to bottom to where you don't have a real top dog, but everybody is good. And I think that does hurt the SEC when it gets out on a national stage and starts playing conferences that do have a top team. In the SEC ACC basketball challenge, for whatever you make it, the SEC took it 9-7, so at least you got more wins than the ACC there. But yeah, I think it is top to bottom. Now they'll put it. I don't know if they'll have as many teams in March Madness as last year, because I think last year was a record-breaking year. But I think you'll be close and you'll have some competitive teams. I just don't know if you have the team that you know. Like last year, I think from almost everybody in their brackets put Auburn and Florida in the Final Four. Last year, I don't know if you have that this year with the current SEC.
Well, what's happened to Auburn?
Well,
was it the departure of Coach Pearl?
Coach Pearl's still there, just not the same Coach Pearl.
He's not.
Right.
Yeah, they still have
True. I mean,
Hey,
Bruce.
Tennessee alum Coach
And the
Pearl.
Pearl that's there right now doesn't have near the experience as the Pearl that left.
Oh
either.
no,
Zero
not
experience.
even close.
Well, you got a coach down there at Auburn that's never been a head coach,
Yeah.
high school level or wherever, and all of a sudden he's coaching on the major college level at a school that his dad brought basketball prominence back to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, that's and he's 0-2, you know,
Yep.
starting in league play.
And he
Which
sure is making a fuss about it too.
But the thing
Imagine
is,
that.
if you survive it the first time, then all you can do is improve.
Yeah.
So it's not always a bad thing, especially when you got kind of a built-in guarantee for a season or two of patience.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're right that we don't have the dominant team where you're not looking at one or two teams that you're thinking, these guys are Final Four worthy.
Mm-hmm.
The problem the SEC is going to face is it's kind of when you go in to start conference play, how many teams you have in the top 25 at that point matters, because the rest, that's going to dominate like your quality wins and what the pollsters think of you during league play for the rest of the way is largely determined by how many ranked teams you had at the start of conference play. So not having, I think we had 8 ranked last year and 3 or 4 in the top 10 at this point last year. That controlled a lot of why the SEC got so many bids in March.
Right.
Because it was like every SEC game was a ranked team playing a ranked team. You're not going to have that this regular season.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's going to take some of those top 10 teams losing multiple games for the SEC teams to move up
Yeah.
any.
And
But
to
it's
your
not
point-
going to make the SEC game in and game out schedule any easier. I mean,
It makes it
these
harder.
No, it makes it harder. You're saying, well, we don't have any this league doesn't have any top 10 teams.
Well, then you can't
But
lose
that
any.
doesn't change anything. It's still a tough league.
Yeah.
It's still going to be hard to win on the road. And a lot of these teams have got some quality wins against some pretty good teams that are in the top 10.
Well, the flip side of
if
Marcus's
everybody wants to
argument-
gnaw your foot off, you can get into February and be
Yeah.
legless.
And the flip side of Marcus's argument is if you don't have any top 10 teams, you don't have as many ranked. Well, if you lose, it looks a lot worse because now you're losing
Yep.
to an unranked team.
Yeah.
So it's a battle every night, and I think the good thing about having parity top to bottom is there is no night off. Like that win over Texas will probably be the easiest SEC win Tennessee has this year.
And I think the addition of Texas and Oklahoma in the league has made it better for basketball because both of these teams, you want to talk about Texas and Oklahoma football, but their basketball's got good tradition too in Oklahoma
It does,
and Texas.
yeah.
So, you know, those were good additions. And Missouri has always had a pretty good basketball
Yep.
program out
and
there.
they're putting a lot more
Yeah.
money into it now too.
I want to talk about a situation too when we talk about leagues, the Big East. The Big East is a basketball league. It's always been known for basketball, and you know they don't play football, so to speak.
It plays sports outside of basketball?
They don't have. They've got one team, Caleb. They've got one team that's in the top 25.
Yeah.
Connecticut is it. Now Connecticut has played some really strong teams to start the year, and they've been successful against those teams. My question is, if you're Connecticut, and right now you're just kind of head above heels above everybody else, and you're playing in the Big East, and you're just going to ride the season out, so to speak.
Yeah.
You're not going to be challenged as much. You should. The fact that maybe you don't have any injuries as you're doing that and going through, you're not game in and game out being challenged like some teams in some of these other leagues.
Yeah.
Does that make you better off in the NCAA tournament? More fresher, more you're not as wary because of your schedule and the league that you play in?
I don't know. I think Dan Hurley, the UConn coach, talked about it, how they want to play a lot tougher non-conference
And
to
they
kind of
did.
counteract that. Yeah, and they did.
They did.
Because on the flip side of being fresh, you worry about what if you get to the tournament and you don't know what your guys are going to do when the lights are on. And it is sad that the Big East is just UConn now because, I mean, Creighton is a historic basketball team. Villanova is a historic basketball team. St. John's with Rick Pitino,
Yes.
like you'd expect them to be better than
But
they've
they're all
played
struggling.
this year. Yeah.
They are.
So I think it will just be UConn.
And throw Butler in there. You know,
Yeah.
Butler,
That's it. I mean, all of
Yeah,
them
that's true.
in that conference are traditional basketball schools, and none of them are, at least I would say last year and the year before, they were competitive. Now it's just UConn beating everybody by 40.
Yeah.
So I think they have to play a tougher non-conference, and sure, you might be fresh at the end, but, you know, you'll be facing teams who
Do you have an edge left at
Exactly.
that point?
do you
Yes,
even
that's
care
what I'm
anymore.
saying, yeah.
It gets boring at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Talking a little bit about this point and the minutes that kids play, Braylon Mullins, that was from Greenfield, he went to Connecticut.
Right.
He's starting at Connecticut as a freshman. He got 24 the other night against Providence. That was outstanding in itself that
Oh,
he had the
yeah.
great night with 24, but what was even more unusual, he played 40 minutes.
Good. Never
He
came out.
played
Huh?
40
Wow,
minutes in that
never got off the
basketball game.
floor.
He never got off of the floor. And I'm thinking, well, you know, and he looked just as fresh at the end as he did at the beginning. And I'm going, well, you know, heck, you don't have to worry about, you know, going over here and sitting, get yourself out of rhythm. He's in rhythm for 40 minutes, huh? Like the old days. It's kind of the throwback of the old
I
days.
started
But
to say
I
that's
thought that
pretty
was-
common in your
I
day,
thought
wasn't
that
it?
was really unusual to see that on the major college level because,
Yeah.
Caleb, you don't see that very much. You know,
No, you've
somebody
been
playing 40 minutes. Like
you've been adamant that you want to see it more.
yeah.
Back in your day, you didn't get rest.
No, we didn't
Why
get
do
any
these kids deserve rest?
We didn't get any TV timeouts, and
Nope.
you know, it was
Your time-
just regular timeouts and back out on the floor, and and the game lasted an hour and 15 minutes, and everybody went home. Now you got a 3-hour game with all the
Yeah.
commercials and waiting around, but I thought that was really unusual. Not
It-
the
it is.
24
It is
points because
now.
he's fully capable of getting the points,
yeah,
but
sure.
40 minutes is pretty.
Well, Mike,
Yeah.
you got to remember that if we played the old way, they'd have to cut off beer sales after the first quarter.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that is true.
We have merchandising to consider, and you know, there are hot dogs to sell, and
That's
Yeah.
it.
You don't like-
there's revenue streams to be considered.
Yeah,
You don't
I
like
understand
watching
that.
a
There's NIL money to be
Yep.
to be made. I
You don't like
understand all
watching
that.
commercials with your basketball games?
No, hate it. Hate it at home. I'm getting to where I count the number of commercials,
Yeah, it's
you know,
bad.
when we go and see where we're at. It's
They're
just
on-
like
They're on ESPN today, so you'll get your fair share of commercials.
it's like that the football game
Yeah,
I
they
watched
will.
last night. I'm going, don't call a timeout. Don't get hurt. Please don't get hurt. I don't want any injuries out there. I want the game to keep on going. Hey, let's talk about the Lady Vols. We got a few minutes here. They're 11-3 overall, 3-0 in the Southeastern Conference. They beat Florida 76-65, Auburn 73-56, Mississippi State 90-80. And Caleb, I want to get excited about all of that, but those are the bottom teams really
Yeah.
in the league. Your thoughts on the Lady Vols right at this point in the season?
Yeah, I think the good thing is they're getting wins against those bottom teams because the wins are not going to be easy. They're also looking better on offense against those bottom feeder teams. You look at their non-conference, they did not have a lot of offensive performances that really, you know, to write home about, but they're outscoring them by 12.7 points. They're shooting 47% from the field. Their offense looks a lot better. They're playing good defense. You know, some of their freshmen are starting to come along a little bit as well. The win at Mississippi State on Thursday was a big one because Mississippi State is one of those middle-of-the-road teams that you could easily drop that game to.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, they've taken down the bottom feeders, and they play Arkansas on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then you go through a gauntlet of at Alabama, Kentucky at home, at Ole Miss, Mississippi State again will be easier. And then you start February going to UConn. So the wins are starting to shrink. The right-in wins, the ones you can go ahead and pencil in, are starting to shrink on the schedule. So it's good that they started 3-0.
And from a confidence standpoint, that's really good that they've been able to work some things out. They got Arkansas tomorrow. Arkansas is 0-3.
Yeah.
So I would look for the Lady Vols to win that one 2:00 over at the field house here in Knoxville. And then they got a week off. Basically, they don't play again until next Sunday, and they play Alabama. Next Sunday. Alabama is we got them penciled in here in the top 5 right now in the league at 2-1.
And they're coming off a huge win too.
And in the league, Texas 3-0, Vandy 3-0, South Carolina 3-0, Tennessee 3-0, Alabama 2-1, and I'm looking for LSU. where are we at with LSU here? Where are they at?
Where are they?
Where are they?
They're burning it down in Baton Rouge.
R54, where are you?
Yeah, they struggled through their first 2 against Vanderbilt and Kentucky, 2 teams who got a marquee win already. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think Tennessee likes that bye comes super early in SEC play, but you had to with the way they make the schedule now, you have to burn a bye to play UConn in the middle of the conference slate. So it's going to be tough, and it's only getting harder.
And that game it's away. It's at Alabama when they come back. So that'll be a challenging game for them. Hey, it's time to turn the page. Next up is the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segment. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew. And now it's time for the GoTeez Sports Page Player of the Week segment featuring Daily Times senior reporter Marcus Fitzsimmons, sponsored by Anderson Lumber Company, where quality service is always a priority. Proudly serving Blount County for over 100 years. And Marcus, turn it over to you, guy.
Well, thanks, Mike. We couldn't have our Players of the Week here this week because they are actually on the court and sweating it off over at the Cooper Center right now. Because Coach Placeris doesn't believe in anybody getting a break and having some time away. But the Maryville College men's basketball team, they opened last weekend 2-0 in CCS play, got the sweep that was a revenge sweep in a lot of ways, but it was their first game against Huntington since we saw Huntington upset them in the conference championship game last year and cost them an NCAA tournament bid. And the Scots are looking really good. Coaches put them up against a very challenging non-conference schedule to get them ready and to get them some quality wins that will hopefully matter when it comes down to seeding in the conference for the NCAA tournament. We didn't really mention it back before the break, but they knocked off a number 8 team. Carthage is number 8 in the country now, and Maryville College beat them by 12 in a challenge tournament. And then they came in, and I was a little bit concerned because they played some ODAC team. An ODAC team lost to Hampton and Sydney, who's a top 25 team. It was a 8-point game. But then I turned around and they played that game at Huntington. They put up 101 points and just clicked about every way you could. And then won more of a defensive game at LaGrange. Like I said, they're off today. They're practicing. They've got a midweek game. They're going to Asbury non-conference. but they'll be next weekend. They will be home on Friday night and Saturday for a big conference weekend where they've got Piedmont and Belhaven here.
Yep.
It'll be the first chance to see them this year at home. And, you know, they've got two really key scorers that are looking very good. Kind of trade off the uber efficiency. Like if you're going to concentrate out on the perimeter, then they've got an inside guy that's going to burn you. And if you collapse down on him, then the perimeter can burn you. So they've got a nice combination working on.
Yeah, I mean, Chase Morgan, you mentioned that loss to Huntington, that upset. Well, Chase Morgan had rolled his ankle. He didn't play in that game. He's back healthy this year, averaging 21.3 a game. He also averages 7.1 rebounds a game, so he's really, a guy they need. He plays 30 minutes a game. He's shooting 55.8% from the field.
Goodness.
In the paint. And then Jackson Gardner's back from a torn ACL, and he looks good already, 15.4 points per game. He's shooting over 40% from the field and over 40% from three. Another guy they lean on. And then Matt Schneider, who's their most recent Missouri Western transfer. If you remember Reed Kemp last year, who set a ton of Maryville College records, he was from Missouri Western. They went back to Missouri Western in the portal, got Matt Schneider. He's averaging 14.6 a game at 6'6", shooting 48% from the field, and he's knocking down threes at a 36.5% clip as well. So you've got a big three there that really drive that offense. And then, you can just go down the list of guys that, Javi Rosell is back, and he looks good at the point guard spot. And then there's Jalen Green's another guy they lean on. And you just go down the list. Kobe Franklin's back from last year as well. So you've got your three big scorers, and then you've got a ton of players who really play their role and play it at a high level. And when you get to, Division III basketball in the conference that Maryville College is in, that's really what you need is even scoring and then a lot of role players who will defend as well. And Maryville College has the recipe, and they're looking good so far this season.
And, this is their last run through this one.
Yeah.
Because football
gets a lot harder.
Football made the move a year before the other sports, but this is their last run through CCS play. And Caleb's right, that schedule – They play a lot of quality teams non-conference right now, so they're used to that level of competition. But that level of competition is going to be your conference schedule next season.
Goodness.
Where you pick up teams that are very, very strong year in, year out in a lot of that conference. So you've got. I mean, you got a chance here where they've been, and Coach Placeris has been there before when their last year in the USA South or last year in the GSAC, he was an assistant. There's a lot of pressure on a team that has dominated the conference when you're playing your last year in that league.
Mm-hmm.
The target's even bigger on your back. So they've got – it's going to be some fun basketball over the next few weeks for them.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, they have a big home conference weekend next weekend with Friday and Saturday at home. But, they're moving to the SAA, the Southern Athletic Association, and they went to Sewanee at the beginning of the year and took them to overtime. And Sewanee's probably a middle-of-the-road team in that conference. So that just tells you the quality of that conference top to bottom, whereas now, I don't think Coach Placeris would say it, but there are some off nights where you play teams that just aren't good at basketball at all, especially, if you look at some of the women's scores. Some of those colleges are barely fielding teams. Well, that's going to change a lot next year when you're facing, Trinity, Millsaps, Rhodes, Sewanee, Center College. Like, those are schools that pride themselves on athletics.
Plus, you got some trips to Texas in there.
Yeah.
Which are going to be something new.
And you still have to go to Mississippi.
So it's going to be – this is a year where we want to see Maryville College do well. And I will say the women do play today because it's a women's-only weekend in the conference. So, Maryville College, I believe, is hosting Agnes Scott today.
Yep, tip-off at 2.
So, you can get over there to watch that one. This is Scotty's versus Scott's game. So that one's always fun for whoever has to cover it to try to keep the mascot straight and clear in the stories.
And it should be if you want to watch the women's team today, it should be a fun one too, because the visiting Scotties are not a very competitive team. So it'll be a good day to, showcase everybody that the Scots have and empty the bench for them. And should be a fun game too.
They've got a lot. I mean, that was a big recruiting class. You've
Lots
got
of freshmen
and several good big transfers. So you've got Maryville's got some height that we haven't seen really play at home yet, and this is going to be a chance for them to get on the court.
I mean, their leading scorer is a Johnson transfer from the offseason.
The Scotties come in. Their mascot's the Scottish Terrier, by the way, if you didn't know that, with a little purple bow in its head. So this is a chance for even the student sections who might still be around to have some fun.
Yeah.
Because I think they're on winter term right now. But Mike, like I said before, we couldn't actually get Coach Placeres here, so we can't put him on the hot seat yet. He's promised me that he will make some time to come in later this year to visit with us. But I'm gonna go ahead and let you have the page and let you have the time, because I know you've got I can see the notebook. You've got a long list of stuff you've been building up for the last 2 weeks. You want to talk about?
We're not hurting for material here.
No, absolutely not.
We mentioned earlier the transfer portal's open, so let's talk some UT football. Tennessee football program lost Illinois in the Music City Bowl 30-28, and the Vols finished 8-5. I was really hoping they would have won that game, because 9-4 sounds a lot better than 8-5.
Yeah.
At least I got the loss column right when I made my pick.
Yeah, you did. Caleb,
Who would've thought?
Your thoughts on the Vols' loss down in Nashville? Is it a big deal? No big deal?
I don't think I think the loss is whatever. I don't think anybody in Knoxville is going to lose sleep over the Music City Bowl. I think what was a big deal is the lack of playing time for the freshmen. I think bowl games today are a really good opportunity to get your freshmen and sophomores, the guys you're going to lean on in the next season, to play, because they don't mean anything anymore. And Tennessee did not play a lot of its freshmen. I mean, you had a walk-on redshirt senior DB who played all 73 snaps on defense. That's a position you're going to have a freshman starting at this year, or sophomore who doesn't have playing experience. Your defensive lineman who jumps off sides to set up Illinois for that chip shot field goal, that was a redshirt senior who is not playing anymore. And your freshman defensive end, who you had a lot of hope for that would play next year, he played 3 snaps in the game. Like, I think you need to play your I get wanting to send off the seniors, and I think that's fair, but I think your freshmen need to split snaps and get experience, because that's the future of the program. And in today's day and age, there's no time to learn on the job, because you're going to be going against somebody who has 3 or 4 years experience, especially in the SEC. So I wish we would have seen a lot more freshmen play. That's the only gripe I really have in that game.
Yeah, Marcus, no quality wins this season. If you want to make a big deal out of the Illinois game, if you'd have won that game, you would have had at least one quality win for the season.
A quality win.
And I'm not so sure that I don't know if I agree totally with Caleb. I think that maybe the bowl games don't really matter all that much if you win them, but if you lose them,
that can hurt you.
I think they matter probably a little bit more, just from the fact that the 9-4 and the 8-5. It sounds like a world of difference.
It does.
I'm not too thrilled about 9-4, but 8-5 just really sounds horrible.
8-5.
I don't like that at all, But anyway, what about it, Marcus?
I think at this point, teams are approaching bowl games differently, and we're in the age of opt-outs and transfer portal and NIL considerations and a ton of other things. It's not like you're making the playoffs.
Right.
So if you're looking at the NFL, if you're looking at leaving the school, this is, guys are opting out, they're not playing, or they're, I won't say decommitting, but they're not really involved. And at the same time, you've got guys who are on campus and practicing, going through practice as early enrollees, but they're not eligible to play. And at some point, that's going to blow up into a conflict, especially with the playoff going as long as it is, of, what happens if you have you lose your quarterback in the fourth quarter of a semifinal game, and your best quarterback you have is somebody who just enrolled. What's going to happen in that situation in the future, where you've got a kid who technically isn't able to play, but he's on campus, he's enrolled in school, semester start, he's going to class, and he's not eligible to play in that. It's another nightmare we're heading towards, because I think the whole schedule needs to be redone if we're going to keep on this path. And I don't know if the day of the bowl game in the holidays isn't over because of it. Some teams it doesn't matter, some teams it does. I don't know that we're not better off moving them to the start of the year and playing them Labor Day weekend and using that to seed the whole thing.
Well, I mean, when you look at Tennessee, they didn't want to play. They didn't want to play in a bowl game where they missed out on Christmas. They wanted their kids to have time with family for Christmas, and they weren't going to play in a bowl game after the New Year because the portal opens on January 2nd. So, to your point, the calendar is so squished during that time to where you're finishing your high school class, you're telling your players if they should enter the portal or not, then you're recruiting the portal, and then all at the same time you're trying to beat Illinois somewhere in there. It's just too much.
When are the coaches supposed to coach because they're so busy working on the next team in all those various aspects to even bother with this team?
Are you trying to tell me that we just shouldn't count the game on our record? We just go and play the game, but we don't count it on our record. We don't get the win. We don't get the loss.
Well, there was a
just
point where
don't
you didn't
count
get
it.
to.
We just don't
Do you
count
remember that?
it.
There was a
That's
point where
true.
you didn't get to count the bowl game on your record.
Well,
You,
I tell you what,
Yeah.
you
one of the
finished
things that I
9-1
hated
and won and
is
played
that
in the Sugar Bowl.
we're,
You didn't
we're
get
trying
to
to
count
build. It seems like Tennessee's always trying to build here. We're always trying to build. We're always trying to build. We want to win championships. I don't know where we're at with this football program. This game with Illinois really doesn't mean all that much. They lost 30-28 on a walk-off field goal to a team that Indiana beat 63-10. I'm just saying, where are we here? Where is this program right now?
Well, Tennessee didn't beat a single team with a winning record besides ETSU. But I think what's really worrisome, if you want to talk about the portal, is where Tennessee is going to make or break. They were the youngest team in the SEC. Then they played no freshmen in the bowl game. And then they go into the portal, and they don't want to pay the players that they've developed. Like Jordan Ross, 5-star edge rusher, entered the portal, went straight to LSU, signed.
Yeah, he did.
You're losing. You lose Lance Hurd to the portal. You lose Ricky Gibson to the portal. You paid him all year after he got hurt. He enters the portal. He's off to Texas A&M. So you're losing the guys you develop. You're not developing the guys you have because they're not playing in the bowl game. And then you're swinging and missing a lot in the portal. Besides a couple, you got a big commitment from Amari Campbell at the linebacker spot. But the linebacker spot's probably the deepest position on the roster. But he came from Penn State. You get some defensive line help. You've gotten a couple DBs. They're swinging and missing on quarterback. Sam Levitt visited but hasn't committed, and Lane Kiffin was at the airport visiting Sam Levitt. So it's a ton of chaos in the portal. But honestly, if we look in 2 or 3 weeks and Tennessee didn't get a portal class, then you start to wonder what's going to be different about next year from this year.
Yeah, well, they lost 20 players plus in the portal. They had 20 players leave over here that entered the portal. And then the
Are
quarterback.
all of them gone, or are some of them in there and unclaimed at the moment? Possibility.
No,
coming back?
I think the only, unless some of the walk-ons have entered and they're unclaimed, but all of your scholarship guys are taking visits and seem to be going elsewhere. And your best scholarship guys like Lance Hurd, Ricky Gibson, Max Anderson, William Satterwhite are all signing elsewhere.
Hey, you got to have a quarterback. Look at these teams playing for championships.
Yep,
They
transferred
got
quarterbacks.
Look at this championship game. You got Miami and you got Indiana. You got 2 solid quarterbacks.
Yeah,
If you
you
look
do.
at most of those teams in the playoffs, they had solid quarterbacks.
Sure.
You got to have a great quarterback. And here we are at Tennessee going into next year the same way we went into this year with, I don't really know who the quarterback's going to be right now.
A lot of questions.
A lot of question marks.
You have so much money tied up into freshman quarterbacks, Mike. Do you go get a transfer? Do you play your freshman? You didn't want to play your freshman in the bowl game. Do you want to play him next year?
Yeah.
And
you're
you
looking
lose a
in
quarterback
and
to the
you're looking
portal.
in the portal right now for a quarterback.
Yeah.
If you go out and you get a quarterback out of the portal, what's the guy hanging around here going to think? Is he going to hang around here and say, well, how long am I going to hang around here if they're just going to go to the portal every year?
Nico Iamaleava is the only quarterback that Tennessee has recruited out of high school under Josh Heupel and started, and it was one season, and that was it. Every other year has been transfer portal.
Tennessee, for various reasons, got a good jump on NIL. With it getting its collective organized, how it was functioning, and in the first year or so, as people were beginning to trying to figure out where the lines were, Tennessee did real well with how their NIL got used. Now, I'm not sure they have that advantage that they held.
Early.
And everybody's playing by the rules Tennessee helped establish. So I think some of that advantage is gone. And when that advantage is gone, it was momentum. It wasn't the dollar signs. So you're seeing like schools like Texas Tech that have much deeper pockets have an advantage because they've just got more money to spend. And this is why we talked about in the beginning. It's not a good thing because it becomes who has the most money, who has the biggest donors.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you also start to wonder, too, a lot of these schools are hiring GMs to manage money. I think John Summerall at Florida said he was bringing in a GM because he doesn't want to touch NIL money. He wants to coach the players. And if they have money problems, they can talk to the GM. Tennessee doesn't have anybody like that. And I wonder
Not
you know,
yet.
Not yet. And for Heupel's sake, I feel like it would make it a lot easier on him if they did have somebody who was handling that stuff.
Yeah. Max Gilbert, the kicker, before we get out of here, he's headed to Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Arkansas on the schedule down there in Fayetteville next year. I hope he doesn't line up for a game-winning field goal right at the end of the game.
It would be the second time in 3 years that they've walked it off.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Hey, it's time for a break. When we return, it's the Boyd Sports Spotlight. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the Boyd Sports Spotlight segment. And Donnie Moore, we got a lot of things to talk about here this morning. You got some sports headlines. I'm sure
I do
I'm
indeed.
sure you're not lacking either.
Nope. Nope. They've been pretty plentiful the last few days.
It's all yours.
Thank you, sir. Our sports headline segment this morning is brought to you, as always, by our friends at Fast Signs. With Ole Miss falling to Miami 31-27 in the Fiesta Bowl, Thursday night's semifinal, college football semifinal game, the SEC has been shut out of the championship for the third year in a row. An SEC team reached the championship round of the college football playoff every year between 2015 and 2022.
And most of those have been Georgia and Alabama.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Georgia and Alabama have been carrying the SEC.
They sure have.
You got to when you're talking about those championship games, Donnie, you got to be a little selective when you say SEC, because you're talking about Alabama and Georgia. Well, and LSU, right. You got to throw them in there in 2019.
Right. That's true. The 3-year drought is the longest for the league since 1999 through 2002.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you have in the Big Ten, you had Michigan in there.
Right.
You had Ohio State in there, and now you got Indiana in there.
Does I guess that speaks to the parity. Well, of course, it also has to do with the transfer portal and the NIL, but the parity around the country nowadays.
Yeah, I think so. And then you got Miami. Of course, they're in the ACC. Of course,
technically, yeah.
Throw in Clemson because they showed some appearances.
They did
in the championship game, but the other leagues, they're still searching.
They're still struggling, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
when riding the struggle bus.
When that counter goes past 1,400 days since the last SEC team won a championship, that's when things start getting nervous around the league office.
Oh yeah.
That's when people start looking around each other.
People start sweating a little bit.
You know, they start looking like Clark Griswold waiting on that Christmas bonus in the office.
I tell you what, I got a good solution to that. I was looking at that game last night, Indiana game. It had 50,000, 60,000 people that came down here from Indiana, and it's all crimson and white up there. So I guess, they're playing in the championship game. Alabama fans can just say, well, they're crimson and white. We're crimson and white. We're technically sort of. We're just sort of here.
They're just wishing they were.
And it's kind of like the old bowl game scenarios we used to see, because whenever the bowl game was in a warm venue, the Big Ten crowds dominated.
Mm-hmm.
If it was within driving distance, and the SEC school where it was really close, they didn't have as much.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, I wonder why. It's because of the weather.
Yeah.
But everybody, did somebody turn the lights off in Indiana before they left?
I don't know, but I was absolutely astounded by the number of Indiana
I was
That
too.
looked like a Georgia crowd or an Alabama crowd in past years in Atlanta. Did it not, Marcus?
It certainly did.
Yes,
Looked
I was
like a
surprised.
home game
I thought
for the
maybe
Hoosiers.
maybe they'd be half full with Indiana people, and
Yeah,
I felt like there wouldn't be as many Oregon because that's a long way to come to Atlanta.
It is.
But I looked at that and I thought, man, that looks like a Georgia or an Alabama
It
sitting
sure
up there
did.
playing. It was amazing how many people came.
Sure
and
did.
the commentators last night made some mention of that.
Oh,
which
wow.
I
Yeah,
thought
I
was
heard
kinda-
that.
Yeah.
Well, Major League Baseball Commish Rob Manfred said Thursday that he thinks it's time for Major League Baseball to expand once again. The league is currently balanced with 30 teams and has not expanded since 1998 when the Diamondbacks and the Rays joined the league. Manfred opined that 32 would be good for us. So he wants to expand it by 2. Yeah. Wild card weekend in the NFL begins today, and the playoffs will feature 6 teams that failed to qualify last season. They are Seattle, New England, Chicago, San Francisco, Jacksonville, and Carolina. They're all going to join this year's postseason fray. Today's wild card games are Rams at the Panthers at 4:30, and the Packers at the Bears at 8 p.m.
The Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears are in.
That's
What
it.
a rivalry that's been. through
Boy,
the
isn't that
years.
the truth? Goodness gracious.
Yeah, you talking about some slobber knocking in that one.
Oh, yeah.
Defensive battle. They're going to be some real slobber
But-
knocking.
You
in that
better
game.
believe
This is where I have issues with some of the scheduling and the formulas they've brought up at this point and how their playoff stacks is. We've already seen this game twice in the last 6 weeks.
That's right, we have.
Yep.
I mean, and now they're going to play for a third time?
Yeah, but the great part about that, it's never boring, Marcus. The Bears and
Well,
the
it's
Packers.
never boring,
Never
but,
boring.
you know,
Absolutely.
Can't get enough of that. Monsters of the Midway and the Cheeseheads.
Yeah. Well, the wild card round continues tomorrow with the Bills at the Jaguars at 1 p.m., the 49ers at the Eagles at 4:30 p.m., and the Chargers at the Patriots at 8. So 3 games on tap tomorrow. On Monday evening, the wild card round finishes up with as the Texans visit the Steelers at 8 p.m.
and that's another one that I have an issue with.
Supposed
We
to be
never used to see
Yeah.
a Monday night game
Nope.
because it's always harder, and you're giving some team a disadvantage
Right.
when you have to go into the next week because somebody's going to get a short week.
That's true. They are. Next weekend's action features the divisional round. So we're moving along with the NFL playoffs. The NBA game between the Miami Heat and the Chicago Bulls, scheduled for January the 8th, which was this last Thursday, has been postponed until further notice by the league. The game was to be played at United Center Arena in the Windy City, but after being delayed for almost 2 hours due to moisture on the floor, rendering the court totally unplayable, Chicago experienced unseasonably warm temperatures, significant humidity, and rain on Thursday. So they just had to.
Is it still called
postpone it.
humidity if it's raining outside?
Well, it's.
You would
it's-
think an NBA arena could
there
figure
is
it
there
out.
is a lot of humidity when it's raining.
Okay. I didn't know if we just said rain at that point or a way to say it's humid.
I'm
Did-
still shocked that a NBA arena can't just turn on the AC and get the humidity out.
I know, really, yeah.
Well,
Certainly not the first time it's
isn't it a
rained.
government building built by the lowest contracting bid?
Yeah,
Probably. I bet the hockey ice under it doesn't help either.
yeah,
No,
and they had played a hockey game. Maybe
It's
a
not
night
the
or
first
two
time
before,
this
so.
has happened at that building with it
Yeah.
being warm outside and the ice is underneath it, and
Right.
it creates situations in those type of arenas.
Detroit's Tariq Skubal, arguably the game's most dominant pitcher, and the Tigers failed to reach an agreement on his 2026 salary by the deadline on Thursday, so they will head to arbitration. Skubal asked for a record $32 million for his salary. Of course, he is a Cy Young winner, with the Tigers only offering him $19 million. Quite a significant difference right there. The impasse is the largest in the history of the arbitration system. So
They lowballed him.
yeah, they sure did. The new Highmark Stadium in Buffalo will feature a natural grass playing surface, which is a change from the artificial turf they have used since 1973.
Somebody's getting brave and bold.
Yeah. Despite higher maintenance costs, the team chose grass for player health and career longevity. Modern technology, including an underground heating system and grow lights, will be used to maintain the grass in the cold climate of Buffalo.
And they said pot wouldn't pay off for anybody.
Grow lights.
Grow light technology is going to
There
help
we go.
Buffalo have a natural surface for an outdoor
in
football
snow.
stadium in upstate New York in January.
That's right.
If they can figure it out, everybody else can.
I agree. Well, let's move to our.
I mean,
go
how
ahead,
much
Marcus.
did Jerry pay to have the one in Dallas where the whole field rolls outside so it can grow?
Yeah.
That was like
Arizona
$200
has
million.
that too.
Arizona does. Yeah, Arizona has that feature as well.
But it's like a $250 million system.
Oh,
Yeah, and Cam Ward was asking for it from the Titans. Think they'll pay up on that?
Ooh.
Well, this,
Oh,
you
no.
know,
They have an outdoor stadium. They
I
put
think
turf on.
I think you'd have to tear down the old stadium to make room for the grass to be able to roll out of that stadium.
Yeah.
Because right now there's no space for it to anything. You can't
That's
even
true.
park a car in between those two things.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about a few things that happened on this day, January 10th, in sports throughout the years. 1957. We're going to start fairly recently here. 1957.
I'm just shocked, Donnie. That was your headlines. We
I
didn't
can
even
almost-
we didn't
I
even
can
touch on Harbaugh.
Remember it like it was yesterday.
No, I left Harbaugh alone.
Okay, all right.
He's,
Forgive me for side seat driving. Go ahead.
That's okay. 1957. Baseball commissioner Ford Frick rules Bing Crosby can keep stock in the Detroit Tigers, even though he owns part of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Which
he was
could
a-
not happen today.
No,
It
that
seems
that
like a
could
conflict
not
of
happen
interests.
today, and it would be today.
I don't think either one of those teams were winning back at that time. That's probably why they
No,
wanted to do that.
you're right. 1967, Mike, the NBA All-Star Game was held in the Cow Palace in San Francisco, California. The West won that game 135 to 120 over the East. Most valuable player, Rick Barry
Barry.
of the San Francisco Warriors.
Yeah,
He was
shot
a
his
player.
free throws underhanded.
Yeah, he was a player, though, wasn't he?
He really was.
1982, the NFC Championship held in Candlestick Park in San Francisco. 49ers won that one 28 to 27 over the Dallas Cowboys.
Is that Dwight Clark?
Dwight Clark makes the catch,
Yeah.
and rather what is known as the catch. Touchdown from Joe Montana with 58 seconds left in the game.
Joe had a tendency to pull them out, didn't he?
He sure did.
In college and the pros, and
He sure did.
that was a big one.
Here's three names for you. 1984. These three guys were elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Louis Aparicio,
Louis Aparicio.
Harmon Killebrew,
Yeah.
and Don Drysdale
There you go.
elected to the Hall of Fame.
you go.
Three fantastic players. 1985, the next year, Seattle's Lenny Wilkins becomes the first to coach in 1,000 NBA games.
Yeah, and he was a heck of a player, too.
He sure was.
Yeah,
yeah.
he's one of the, in fact, I think at one time, I think he was a player coach.
He
I'd
was.
have to look that up, but
I
I
think
he
you're right.
was.
I'm
You know,
pretty sure he
there
was.
haven't been very many of those guys. But,
No, absolutely.
What a duty that would be to be playing and coaching
Yeah.
at the same time.
Then the next year, following 1986, Lakers star Kareem Abdul-Jabbar scores 34,000 career points.
Good night.
Man, I can't even fathom that. Can you?
34,000
I
points.
can't fathom.
Goodness.
I think he ended with what 38,000 something.
Something, yeah.
So
Something
LeBron
like that.
passed him up.
LeBron's at 42,
Yeah.
and he would have to pull out a couple more seasons to go much farther than that.
Yeah, I think so. 1990, the NCAA approves random drug testing in college football.
Do they still do that?
I don't think they do.
No, they did away with that when they did away with all their rules.
Yeah.
I think they might.
I mean,
think
when's
they
the
might
last
for-
time we heard a college player failing a drug test?
I
Failed
think
the
they
drug
might
test.
for PEDs, but I don't think they do it for everything.
Yeah.
For the
No,
other
you
But we
Very
still
back-
have.
I know for sure they do it in track and field
I do too.
because
They
they
do.
do get popped a lot in track
It's-
and field.
It's as lost as academics. It's on
I
the shelf
agree.
with academics.
1996, Jimmy Johnson was named the head coach of the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Ray's old teammate, wasn't he?
Yeah. Ray's teammate.
Ray Trail's old teammate. Birthdays on January the 10th. 1920, American baseball player and clown Max Patkin
Yeah.
was born on January the 10th. Born in Philadelphia, Pennsilvania, died in 1999.
Yeah, I picked up a book one time, and his autograph was in that book. It was a book
Nice.
about him.
Wow.
Well,
I hope you didn't turn it loose.
No, I
You
still
got it.
I
Good.
still got it. Yeah.
That's
I
great.
opened it up. There it was. It was autographed. Somebody evidently went to
Fabulous.
some deal, and he was signing books, about himself, and so.
1932, Lou Henson, American college basketball Hall of Fame coach, was born in, listen to this, OK, Oklahoma. OKAY.
Yeah. Spent a lot of time. Good coach. Great coach for
Yeah, he was.
Illinois.
Yep, died in 2020. 1938, Willie McCovey, Hall of Fame first baseman. He was a six-time All-Star, National League MVP in 1969, National League home run leader in 1963, 68, and 69. Played for the San Francisco Giants. Willie McCovey, he was born in Mobile, Alabama.
Hit that line drive in the World Series against the Yankees.
Yes.
That could have won the game for the Giants and the series. Hit that ball right at Bobby Richardson.
Yeah,
the second
he sure
baseman.
did.
Boy, he was big. He was a home run hitter.
McCovey.
That guy
McCovey
could
could
hit him a
kill it.
mile.
Oh,
Willie
he could
McCovey.
kill it.
Yeah.
1940, American race car driver Harry Gant was born in 1940. Born in Taylorsville, North Carolina. 1949, George Foreman, American boxer and entrepreneur.
And father of his own tribe.
Yes, world heavyweight champion, 1973 and 74, and 1994 and 95. He won Olympic gold in 1968, born in Marshall, Texas. In 1953, you'll know this name, Mike. Bobby Rahal was born.
Yeah.
Driver and team owner.
73 today, isn't he?
Yep. Born in Medina. Is it Medina or Medina? Ohio.
I believe it's Medina.
I think maybe you're right. I think it may be Medina. Nothing could be finer than to be in Medina.
Won the 86 500
in the morning.
86
Yeah,
500.
yeah. 1994, moving to deaths on this day. 1994, Charles Chubb Feeney, National League president, died at the age of 72. Chubb Feeney. And 2022 died on this day. Here's a great name for you, Don Maynard. Don Maynard,
New York Jets.
Hall of Fame wide receiver, Super Bowl 1969, AFL All-Star, played for the New York Titans and the Jets.
Yeah.
Yep, Titans and the Jets. Died at the age of 86. Well, that's it for this week's Sports Headlines, brought to you, as always, by Fast Signs. I'm Donnie Moore. Back to you, Gunner.
This is Mike Edwards, and I am here with Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons and Caleb Jarreau. Let's talk about the college football playoffs. Ole Miss and Miami. Guys, out of the right now, what an exciting game that was. Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, it went right down to the last pass of the.
And
of
it was
bucket.
the only exciting SEC game of the postseason.
Oh,
It
that
was
was
the
a great,
best one.
great football
Yes, it
game,
was.
and it's the score was 31-27. But if you look at the time of possession, Miami had the ball 41 minutes and 22 seconds to 18 minutes and 38 seconds for Ole Miss. You would think that the game wouldn't be a 4-point game, but it was.
Yeah.
But you had some miscues. Miami had the penalties and they had the they
did.
dropped interceptions. I think they dropped 4 interceptions, didn't
Wow.
they? Right in their hands. But what a football game. What stands out to me, and Caleb, I want to get your comments about the game. But Carson Beck, he went through a period in the season where he was throwing some interceptions and struggling. But golly, in the playoffs here, he's kind of come into his own.
Played well.
After transferring from Georgia. Of course, he's been in this position before. He threw for 268 yards, 23 for 37, and 2 touchdowns. And he ran for the last touchdown with 18 seconds to go. Quite a performance by Carson Beck, huh?
Yeah, and I think it was a good quarterback performance overall. Ole Miss's Trinidad Chambliss really took it down to the wire, and he's a former Division II player doing all that. So I
Yeah.
thought he looked good as well. But, yeah, I think it shouldn't be surprising, like you said, Mike, that Carson Beck is playing good in the playoffs. He basically lived in the playoffs at Georgia and played a national championship.
True.
So I think while it's fair to respect Carson Beck and what he did, I think the narrative of, he overcame struggles to be at Miami isn't all that truthful because he was successful at Georgia. I mean, competing for SEC championships every year, going to the playoff. I think his overall record is like 25 and 4 or 5, something crazy like that. So he's been a very solid quarterback, and I'm not surprised to see it at Miami. And as soon as he clicked, to your point, once he clicked with that Miami defense, I mean, that's a very hard team to beat.
Yeah, he was 11 for 19 on third down. And on that last drive, I think he converted on either 2 or 3 big third down plays that got them that score. The other thing that was a little bit concerning, Marcus, Miami was flagged 10 times, and a lot of those penalties kept Ole Miss in the football game. Right down there at the end where Ole Miss had their drives and was trying to keep in it. Miami got flagged. The reason I bring that up is, in this championship game, Miami has a tendency to get flagged. Indiana, not so much.
Yeah.
So Miami going to have to clean that up?
I think you can try, but I don't think you can overemphasize it because Miami plays – they depend on being enthusiastic and being over the top, and you're going to pick up some penalties when you play that way. But, you don't change that at game 15. So I don't think you can – I think you are what you are, but you try to minimize it and tell you want to accept the penalties that you earn, but you don't want to get the stupid ones. You don't want to get one, pushing a guy over when it's not helping anything.
Yeah.
You don't want to get that stupid personal foul. You don't want to see any of the penalties up on the line. You don't want to see any false starts and things like that nature. But if you end up getting one for pass interference or, you get one that might be questionable because you hit somebody right at the line, you're not going to worry about those.
Yeah. Caleb, something happened there down the stretch that could affect the championship game. We're going to talk more about the championship game next week, preview it. But their fine defensive back, Xavier Lucas, was flagged for head-to-head. He's got to set out the first half of the Indiana game, which means that Miami's going to be starting a freshman defensive back there. How big a factor is that going to be in the first half? When you got a guy like Indiana's quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, as accurate as he is.
I think it's a big deal, especially when, like you said, when you're playing the Heisman quarterback winner. I also think too, you look at Oregon. I think they had 2 starting freshmen defensive backs, and Mendoza kind of had his way with that offense and blew him out. So I would worry about it for sure. Luckily, I think it would be only a half he's suspended.
1 half, first half.
So if you can survive the first half, get to the second, he'll come back out. But, we saw what Indiana did in the first half last night and how quick they can score. So I would be worried about it, but also it could be a cool story for a freshman to step up and make a name for himself. But I think this is when you see everybody talks about the transfer portal. You still have to play freshmen and recruit the high school level, and we'll see in the national championship if they were effective.
Think about how this is going to play. If this works out and you still have a close game at halftime, and you're coming out at halftime and Indiana needs to push things a little bit. If it's like the Big Ten championship where it's single score games or it's like 14-14 or something, that Miami defense is going to be different in the second half than it was in the first half. And some of the things that you think were there aren't going to be there.
Yeah.
So that's it can play. Miami can use it to its advantage in gamesmanship in a way.
I was very impressed with Miami's front on offense.
Oh, yeah.
They were able to run the football, and if you're able to run the football, which they have been able to do through these playoffs, if you look at their scores, you say, well, they haven't scored a lot of points. The reason they haven't scored a lot of points is the fact they run the ball and they eat that clock up, and they control it, and they don't leave very many chances for the other team to get their offense back on the field.
That's true.
And they did exactly that the other night against Ole Miss. And but I've been impressed, Caleb, have you not, with their offensive line and the physicality of this Miami football team.
Yeah, I think that's something that made it interesting the other night is it felt like they stopped running the ball.
Yeah.
And for how effective Miami has run the ball, there's no reason to ever go away from that. And I think with Indiana, I'll be interested to see because Indiana traditionally puts those 3 linebackers out there, and they're a defense that's built to stop the run and has done it effectively this year. So I think that'll be one thing to watch in the championship will be the line of scrimmage and the run game. But I don't think any team's making it this far if they can't run the ball, pass the ball, and play defense. And Miami can do all 3 of those things at a very high level.
Yeah.
And, hey, while we're talking about the Miami defense, Jacoby Thomas was a Tennessee defensive back that they didn't pay, and he went in the portal, and now he's
down
he won.
there.
Yeah, he won Fiesta Bowl defensive MVP, and he's going to play in the national championship.
We need to mention Ole Miss's effort in the playoffs. A great run for them after losing their coach to LSU, and the fact that they had to regroup and get their mindset back on the deal and play in Miami right down really to the last play. And their quarterback, Trinidad Chambliss, what a job he did in that football game for Ole Miss. But they were kind of the Cinderella favorite.
And not only did they lose their head coach, but they had to play with the knowledge that they're losing most of their coaching staff.
Yes, yeah, it was an amazing effort. I thought.
But how much of that, like, it felt like the last week that it felt like it. Maybe it was bad or worse than we knew, but because of the surprise of, how many people penciled Ole Miss to beat Georgia, and when I said earlier that Ole Miss's game was the most exciting, except when the SEC played itself.
Yeah.
But how much was manufactured out of that? It feels like if you were Ole Miss and you were the new head coach, you are going to assume you're going to beat Georgia, and you are going to have worked out something with LSU about what your assistants are going to do. It just felt like the entire storyline was just kind of made for ESPN to me.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And nobody ever knew who was coaching what.
Yeah.
Until they did it. Until they were on the field.
I want to talk a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about the last play of the game. The pass into the end zone. Not that this would make any difference in the outcome of the game. They only showed it once that night in the end zone, and I looked at it and I go, I don't know. It looks like I want to see that again. It looked like he had a hold of his up here, at the top of where the shoulder pads are, and his jersey on that in the end zone. And they never showed it again. I thought, well, I don't know. I guess it's okay. They didn't make a big deal out of it. And then the next day, I got on the ESPN site, and there was all this discussion about the last play, and I thought, well, maybe I should look at the last play. It's obviously a pass interference in the end zone. I don't want to take anything away from the victory for Miami at all because they played a great game, but that was pass interference in the end zone.
I thought
and
so
the
too.
official was standing right there in front of it, and he didn't call it. May have not made any difference in the game, but it would have given him one more play from the 20-yard line, which would have been a closer play, a lot more manageable than where they were at. I was wanting to get your feelings on that particular play.
What's crazy to me is, what was it, a couple weeks ago, the officials in the Ole Miss game made a big deal about there being 1 second left on the clock after the safety.
Right.
Made a big deal about it, brought all the teams back. Then they kicked the free kick for the onside. Everybody thought the game was over again. Then they went back, made a big deal about it, brought everybody back for 1 second just for nothing to happen. But then you get a really bad penalty on the final play of the game, and they don't say a word.
Yeah, I just thought it was really unusual.
Ironic.
It sort of looked like, and Marcus, I'm going to get your take on it. It sort of looked like, I don't want to decide this game. I'm not going to throw the flag here. But you can't do that. I mean, you got to go ahead and throw it, and you got to because it was an obvious penalty. I don't know if it was the freshman or I don't want to. And it was not. It was a ball that could have been handled. I mean, it could have been. It wasn't like it was out of sight where you could say non-catchable ball.
Yeah, he put a hand on it in the end zone.
Your take on it, Marcus?
Well, there were two things on it when I saw it slowed down a little bit. And one was, I'm not an official, but I don't know that I wouldn't call that a chicken fight 50-50 ball where I might not throw a flag because the contact starts way far up in the route. They're both doing things. There's a part in there earlier where he makes a cut that I'm not sure it's on offensive pass interference. So I don't know that I would have thrown the flag. But that said, the thing that has bothered me is all the last 2 days about the discussion is, oh, it wouldn't have mattered. Probably wouldn't have mattered to have moved him closer if they'd gotten the flag. He could have caught the ball.
Yeah.
If he's not held up at the goal line,
I
he
don't
could
know.
have caught that ball.
I don't know whether he could have caught it or not.
In which case,
he had a hold of his jersey and his shoulder
well,
pad.
what I mean is, if he's not,
maybe I need to go back there and look at that again. Didn't look like he could get his hands up there where he needed to get them. But
well, what I mean is,
Yeah, at least one.
everybody
of them,
talks
anyway.
about
Yeah.
in the terms of the penalty. If they don't do what they did to him, there's a better and even chance he makes that catch if they don't defend him that way.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
So in a way, it's the smart way to play that play. And why I say that is because when you have players and coaches thinking that way, the days of we don't want to interfere and decide the game with a flag, those days are over.
Oh yeah, they'll do
I'm
it.
sorry, it's over.
in
When
a
you have
heartbeat.
when you have coaches scheming and thinking and coaching players to play away because they don't think you're going to flag it because it's that last play, it's time to you've got to throw the flag at that point.
I don't agree. I don't disagree with you at all. It would have been a gut call. It would have been a controversial call because if you give them another play at the 20 and they throw it in the end zone and they score, then you got a real controversy right there.
But it's no worse than what you got now. I mean, you're going to catch flack either way.
I don't guess. But anyway, it was something to discuss. I wanted to get everybody's take on it, and I didn't think much about it when I saw it because they didn't really make a big deal out of it and show it until the next day, and I just sort of stumbled across it, and I thought, that's a little maybe worth discussing a little bit. But anyway, hey, we're going to take a break right here, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit about Indiana's win over Oregon. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensonTire.net.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, and I'm here along with Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons and Caleb Jarreau. And last night, Indiana and Oregon teed it off down in Atlanta, and Indiana came out on top 56-22, pushing their record to 14-0, and Oregon, of course, dropped to 13-2. These two teams met during the season out in Oregon, and Oregon won that game, I believe, 30-20. 30-20, somewhere in that category, I believe. And I guess my biggest surprise in this game is I felt like that based on what I saw in the first game, both of these teams, highly competitive and so forth. I felt like Indiana may have the upper edge going in, but I didn't expect the way it came out. I didn't expect a 56-22 outcome. Caleb, did you see it any differently, or what was your take on the game? I was surprised how they
I was surprised too. But hey, when you throw a pick six on the first play, it kind of sets the tone for what's going to happen.
Well, think about it. You've got down the first play. You have 2 fumbles that set up 20-yard fields basically, and you have a blocked punt. I mean, that's a 28-point swing.
Yeah. Really.
So if you take those things away, and I'm not saying you should take them away because Indiana earned every one of those plays, but offensively, maybe it's a 35-21 game. if you take Indiana's still better, but it's more like the 30-20 you saw before, and not the massacre that it turned into.
Goodness, yes.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Those turnovers will kill you.
Yeah.
I don't care who you're playing or what kind of season you're having. You turn turn the football over, or you turn the basketball over, and it's going to kill you
Every time.
every time. And what happened? This Indiana team, you turn the ball over against them, they're going to make you pay.
Yeah, they
Oh,
are.
yeah.
And they've made teams play all year long. This wasn't a fluke deal where they got 3 turnovers and weren't able to capitalize. That's what they lived on. All their and a lot of those mistakes that Oregon had were right down there where they didn't have to go very far. They just had to go next door.
Right.
To put up 7 points.
Yeah.
There's a lot of difference between making a turnover 70 yards away and making one down inside the
Makes
10-yard line.
makes
your own
football a lot
10-yard
easier.
line here. I mean,
No, they weren't going to the mailbox. The mail was coming
No.
right there and coming through the slot
No.
in the door, and all they had to
Yeah.
do was pick it up.
And they extended that lead at 35-7 the first half. And you talk about Fernando Mendoza and the year he's having and the games he's had in the playoff. But I tell you what, I got to give a lot of credit to Indiana's defense last night. Because, listen, Oregon had several situations where they had 3rd and short, and the game was still in hand, and they got a sack or they got a stop when they had to.
They sure did.
So, and they made some big plays that set up touchdowns, and they even scored touchdowns on the defense. So the defense really came up big, I thought, for Indiana last night.
And I think if you wanted to compare, like, 2 plays that kind of summarized what the game was, if you look at the first Oregon fumble where the quarterback pulls his arm back to make a pass, bounces it off the running back's helmet, and it falls where neither one of them can get it, but
Yeah.
Indiana can recover it.
Uh-huh.
To the Oregon fumble where you have a great defensive play where the defender gets his arm inside to pop the ball out and knock it loose, and who gets it but an offensive lineman trailing behind the play jumps on it and keeps it from being a turnover. That's the symbolism of the difference between Oregon and Indiana last night.
I'm going to throw this out here, and I want you guys to comment on this. When George Quarles and help me out, the other coach that followed George,
Derek
Hunt.
Derek Hunt, at Maryville High School, especially when George was there, and both of them. And I'd go to a football game up there at Maryville, and I'd see Maryville down here warming up, and I'd see the other team down at the other end, and not knowing either one of those teams, just looking at them, I'd say, I'm going to take that team down there to the other end. And then Maryville would play, and I would sit there and I'd go, holy smoke, I'm telling you right now, what a well-coached team. They don't make
No
mistakes.
doubt.
They run the ball. They pass the ball. They don't make very many penalties. They don't get flagged very much. And I sort of see that with Indiana. What a well-coached football team. They got outstanding players. They got through the portal and so forth. But the coaching, I just think on both sides of the ball, Caleb, has just been outstanding. What do you think?
And I think, too, when you listen to Signetti talk, you see why the players respect him and everything he talks about. He tells the coaches, like, if it takes you until 8 p.m. to do your work, then you leave at 8. But if you finish your work at 3 p.m., you go home and spend time with your family. He tells the players, we're not going to run you into the ground. We've got 30 minutes of work today, an hour and a half tomorrow. That's it. And I think you get a really healthy, energetic team this time of year from that, but also – they just respect what he's saying because it's panned out. He promised them that if they followed what he would say, they would win, and they've won. I think you saw it with Nick Saban, too, where, you didn't see a lot of players come out and say, oh, Nick Saban doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm not going to Alabama. Nick Saban's crazy. He would tell the players what to do, and if they did it, they won a championship every year.
Yeah.
And I think you see the same thing with
But
Signetti.
I wonder if he's going to have the same problem because the core of this Indiana team is built around, and the spirit of this Indiana team is built around those James Madison players that came with him. And the whole chip on the shoulder, working, being willing to work. I mean, you're not talking about the heart of that team being from NIL.
No, we're
and
talking
being resource driven.
Mark,
So does it survive when those James Madison players are gone? Does that spirit carry over after this year?
Yeah, Marcus, you're talking about a football team that's primarily made up of 3-star players.
Yeah,
Coach Trail would
There's
love,
only there's
Coach
only
Trail
8
would love his
4-stars
football
on that
team because
team.
Would.
they're 3-star players, and they're coaching these kids into their system. He's taking kids to fit his system. They're not going out there and going, well, this is a 5-star player with a lot of talent. We got to get him. No, this 3-star player fits our system better than the 5-star player.
Yep.
So they go after the 3-star player.
And they're developing
and they've done
developing
well
like
with
nobody's
that.
business.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Indiana 3-0 this season against top 5 opponents, and I was really impressed last night, Marcus, with receivers. You know, you talk about the last play in the Miami game. You talk about some of the catches last night in the Indiana game. I don't see how they caught the ball. You know, I mean, absolutely tremendous.
It wasn't like
tremendous
Oregon was
defense
letting
on
them-
Oregon's part, but the
Yeah.
Indiana receiver
it
came
wasn't
up
like
with the ball.
Oregon was playing bad defense, but the Indiana receivers win one-on-one matchups. That's significant
Yeah.
Sure.
because
is.
you
That's how
do
you win
not-
football games.
I mean, you just don't see that at that level that consistently. And you can give Oregon some credit too. Those receivers were doing some similar things. They just couldn't do it as consistently as Indiana was.
Yeah, yeah. And Caleb, as we've gone along during the season and in the playoffs, we know Miami's has had an outstanding program.
Right.
And they were around all year long, and everybody kind of, you know, Miami's got the great talent, and you can see that in them.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana has week to week, I think, gotten better and proven themselves, and everybody's like, well, let's wait and see, or they're not playing anybody, or it's always been that, let's see what's happening. I think, Caleb, we're over the let's see, aren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're pretty well convinced that Miami's got an outstanding team, and Indiana's got an outstanding team. I think we're at that point, aren't we?
Yeah, that's the point of the playoff. But I also think, too, you know, Indiana's earned respect from what other Big Ten teams have done. You know, Oregon.
Like Ohio State and Michigan.
Yeah, Ohio
Penn
State.
State.
All these
Yeah.
teams that have gone and handled SEC teams, they've earned respect from those Big Ten teams. I wouldn't say Miami's earned respect from what the ACC did, but they've earned respect by going through the playoff and winning football games and playing their best football right now. But I think Indiana, the hindsight on Indiana is a lot different than what people were saying, because I'll admit I was saying the same thing. You know, they're not playing that. It's easy to beat Northwestern, but now they've gone to the championship, and the teams that they have beaten have done a lot in the playoff too.
Before you blow that whistle, you know, Indiana's always been a basketball school. In the last 2 years in the championship game, Notre Dame from Indiana, Indiana from Notre Dame,
right.
or Indiana from Indiana and Notre Dame, both from the same state, been in the championship game, which I think is outstanding for a basketball school, so to speak. But I look for a great game, and we're going to preview the game next week here on the sports page, and it should be a great one. A great story with Indiana, and also a great story with Miami. So we'll be looking forward to that.
I agree.
Yep. All right. That'll do it for today's edition of the GoTeez Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael back at Loud Media, our host of Bluetick Tavern, and all our sponsors. Until next Saturday, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.
And that's the final whistle. Join us again next Saturday for the GoTeez Sports Page. The best in local sports since 1970.